India Today's Akshita Nandagopal spoke to the Mars mission scientist of NASA, Amitabha Ghosh, about what exactly is happening. What are the challenges of Chandrayaan-3 and what can we expect on 23rd of August? Listen in to this exclusive, interesting conversation.
As we count down to the soft landing on the moon by Chandrayaan-3, we've been getting you a number of experts' voices. And here on India Today, it's my pleasure to be joined by NASA scientist who's also a part of the Mars rover mission, Dr. Amitabha Ghosh. Dr. Ghosh, thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us here on India Today. Here in India, we've all got our fingers crossed, sir, for Chandrayaan-3's safe, soft landing on the moon. It is hugely challenging, and it's going to be a historic mission for India, and one I'm sure that the world is also watching out for. But as someone, sir, who tracks, space journeys so closely, you know the technicality of what's involved in a soft landing on the moon. How challenging really is this mission?
Well, it is a very challenging. Soft landing is very difficult. See, for the Mars missions, we call it 7 minutes of terror. The battle here is you have to slow the spacecraft down from a very high velocity to something where it can survive, the delicate electronics can survive the landing. So for the Apollo mission, I think it was like the velocity was a few feet per second. So here, that is the challenge. Imagine you're dropping a suitcase from a building, and then when it touches the ground, if it's above a certain velocity, all the camera inside that suitcase will break. So it's a very challenging thing, and this is done mostly. It's an automated thing. You can have a response system, but you cannot manually change a lot of parameters during the descent if something was off. So it is reasonably challenging. So of course, it's a hard thing to do.
I'm sure you saw what happened with Chandrayaan-2, which is that it very successfully reached to the moon, which is why we don't really call it a failure here. It was partially a success, partially a failure, because only the soft landing, Dr. Ghosh, wasn't accomplished.
Right.
Do you believe that, whatever went wrong there has been fixed in this particular case in Chandrayaan-3?
It's very difficult to see that. See, here the game is, if you're 99% successful and 1% not successful, you don't get the data, right? So it kind of has to be 100% successful. So whether the problems have been fixed, it is like if your car was not working and you took it to the garage, and you hope that the problems are addressed.
Sure.
And it's a little more difficult in the garage because you are into this unknown parameter set. So you don't know a lot of parameters, right? So so the reason these spacecraft missions are so hard that you have to make a very judicious choice of parameters, and then if it was outside that envelope, you have to have an automated system which corrects and still keeps the spacecraft safe. So I would assume that things have been taken care of, but there is no way to 100% know, and particularly being outside the mission team, right?
Understandable. But like I said, we're keeping our fingers crossed. Dr. Ghosh, there's a lot of focus right now on where Chandrayaan-3 is going to land, which is the south pole of the moon. Why is that important? Why is that location something that so much is being spoken of?
So, we are in a very different era of space exploration. Neil Armstrong went to the moon as an explorer. And right now, the world is going back to the moon, which includes India, which includes NASA, which includes China, to not just visit. They're sending astronauts back to actually set up a base and for humans to stay. So what would you need in a base? You would need what we call in situ resources. So you would need, for humans, you need water, oxygen, and for the return journey, you need to manufacture rocket fuel. All this can happen if water can be successfully extracted. The South Pole has some craters which are permanently shaded. That is, they never see sunlight. And so those craters have ice in them. So the thought is somehow if you could extract that ice and extract water, and from that water get oxygen and water for human use and manufacture rocket fuel, then you have a standing chance. So that is why everybody is fixating on the South Pole and the ice.
There's a lot of competition also over who gets to the moon first, who's been to the moon and all of that. I'm sure you're aware of Russia also sending across their own mission, Luna, to the moon. There's a lot of talk about who will get there first. Do you think it really matters, Dr. Ghosh?
It does not matter. It does not matter. And the competition is all in the mind of the media. So imagine, I think Luna 25 probably started development in 2012 or 11. And Chandrayaan started development maybe, I don't know, 2-3 years ago at least.
Yes.
So, and on that day, do you think both the scientists on both these teams knew that the other person is also going and we are going to land the same day and we're going to beat them? It is not possible. These things take a lot of time, resources, and then money, right? So there's a budget process. Nobody can tell and plan this. And why would you compete? They're going to a separate place. It's not like they have to land in the same spot. So while it makes for an interesting, TV bite, but it is not a competition, I think.
Well, whichever way it goes, whether we're first or second, it doesn't matter. What matters is making that soft landing on the moon. In course
Absolutely.
of India's space journey, Dr. Ghosh, how do you see this Chandrayaan 3 and the entire mission being really a monumental moment in our space journey and in our growth towards the next mission?
Right. It's an incredible step. See, if you're able to soft land on the moon, you can soft land perhaps on Mars. You can go to an asteroid and soft land there. It brings in a whole different level of capability. With the orbiter, you're studying the whole planet or the moon from an altitude. Here, like at NASA, we have rovers on the ground and we have mass spectrometers, which kind of can measure composition to the 1 millionth part, not only the element, but also the isotopes of the elements. So you can do all sorts of things once you're it throws open a whole new capability, which India, I'm sure, is going to use in future.
Very interesting. It's been wonderful chatting with you, Dr. Ghosh, and I hope that the next time we have this conversation, it will be once the soft landing has been completed successfully by ISRO. But thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us here on India Today.
Absolutely.
Hope you enjoyed that conversation. All eyes will be on that soft landing on the lunar surface by Chandrayaan 3. And of course, we will be updating you on it.